Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast, where we focus on how authors found success, looking at strategies that have taken them to the top of the bestseller charts, as well as what they've learned from their mistakes. Because being an indie author is more than knowing the latest marketing trend. It's about being innovative and creative and learning from your mistakes.
Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sara Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And today on the podcast, we have Ricardo Fayet from Reedsy. And it was so good.
Yes, it was. It was a good interview. He talks to us a lot about the different services Reedsy has. And They have so many things. They're a marketplace, but we talk about translations. Mm-hmm. They have a review service, and we talk about what that is and how that works. And we talk about the indie, how the market has changed and appealing to readers in other countries internationally.
Yeah.
So, we cover a lot.
Yeah, and I would just encourage people to go to the Reedsy site and look around. You know, there's there's a lot on there that I didn't realize that they did or that they offered. So, I would really, really encourage that. So what's been going on with you this week?
Well, so I launched the hardcover, the special edition hardcover. Probably not the best time to launch it on the week of Thanksgiving in the U.S. because a lot of people are distracted.
Yeah.
But so I've learned a lot, and we can talk about it or we can save it for later if you're interested.
Sure, go ahead.
So what I learned is that if you're doing a hardcover and you're printing the books, you probably need more than 3 or 4 weeks. It'd be better if you had 3 or 4 weeks because you had to order the books, have them printed and shipped. And so and because it's a Christmas book, I was like, it's got to come out at least by early December, you know?
Right.
So what I did was I put it in my newsletter. I said, hey, if you're interested, here's a Google form to fill out. So I took the people who were interested, and I used that as the basis of my order. So I had about 50 people who were interested. So I ordered about 50 books. I ordered 50 books. And then because the deadline is close, I had to pay expedited shipping, which is expensive. So I'm going to have to sell a couple books to cover the shipping. So like if you had a longer lead time, you would have more time and you wouldn't feel that pressure.
Right.
And the way I would do it, if I was doing it again, I would do that. Hey, are you interested? Just to find out if there is any interest at all.
Right.
And then if there is, I would do a second. I would go ahead and set up a sales page and call it a pre-order and say pre-order here. Because if they know they're getting it in 2 or 3 weeks, I think people are familiar enough with pre-orders that they would be okay with that.
Right.
So, and I don't, because you know that people will sign up and say, yes, I'm interested, but then they may not buy. Or it will be a smaller number who will buy.
Right.
So, but I launched it and I stamped the books. I hand stamped the end pages, and that was fun.
Yeah.
And they look really cool. I learned that there's 2 types of ink, and the kind that I bought was not labeled as this type of ink. And I had to go on YouTube and do some searches, and I was like, oh, so pigment ink dries much slower than this other type of ink. So, of course, that's the kind I got.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you have to, I've been blow drying the spines to make sure they're good and dry or the end pages. So see, it's a learning experience.
But I'm so glad you did it. Now we all know.
Yeah. So I'm the guinea pig on this premium product type thing.
Exactly.
So, and I set up a sales page. And so now all that is good to go. And I know how to do that now. And that was one reason I was like, oh, I've got to research this and figure out how to do it. So use the WooCommerce plugin. And then I'm using paypal.com/ship now to ship the books. And it's really cool because it's like you just go there. If you take the payment through PayPal, it has a little thing on the side that says print tracking label, and you can just print it. So like it's actually, that's not taking too much time. I was thinking that might be time consuming. So that is cool. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see. We'll see how many I sell and how many I have left.
Okay. Well, I think it's very neat. I don't know that I would have even thought of it. So I think it's a very cool idea. And I think it appeals to your readers.
Yeah.
I don't know that my readers would go for something like that, but it definitely appeals to your readers.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Very
And I
good.
think the fact that it's a Christmas book and the hand stamping on the end is snowflakes, and the
Yes.
book has a person in it who's studying snowflakes, so
Yes.
like it's all
Yes.
combined,
Yes. Yes.
So, but then I do have two other bits of news. BingeBooks launched this week, and I'm one of the founding authors, and it's a site that's kind of a combination of Goodreads and BookBub. So like you can go on there and you can have a list of books, you can favorite, heart, recommend, you can, save books. You can also purchase books through, like they'll send you, to the site. So it has purchase links.
Right.
And they're not selling them themselves, but it'll send you to the site. And it's like a social aspect to it as well. You can follow people. So that's cool. So if anybody's interested in that, I'll put a link in the notes. And if any authors are interested, there's a place where you can go to sign up when they get to the point where when people can claim their profile or create a profile.
Yeah.
I'll put a link for that.
That's
like a wait list.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So what about you? What's going on?
Well, this week my 99-cent sale is running. So it started yesterday, and because I can't calculate time differences, it actually didn't go to 99 cents until midnight in the UK.
Oh,
Well, that's a bummer, but I was able, thankfully, people were saying, hey, is it 99 cents in the UK? And so I was like, oh yeah, at midnight. So, but yesterday I sold over 400 books. So that was cool. And then my page reads have started to already go up. And then today, it's noon or so when we're recording this, and I'm already at 150. So I'm trying really hard to keep it consistent. I have paid newsletters, and I have some newsletter swaps. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is that we'll put it in the show notes, the sites that will do that will send people to your series page. And so because all of my books are 99 cents, I am all of my links are to my series page. So if I put it in other people's groups, it goes to the series page. The cool thing about the series page, I learned this from David Gaughran, is that when you go there, if they've bought one or two of your books, it will tell them the books they haven't bought and how much that will be. Or if they haven't bought any of them, it'll say $3.96 for the whole series or whatever.
And they can buy with one click. They can buy the whole thing with one click, which is awesome.
One click. And so that's very cool. And I think it's really helped. The first two books, I have more clicks. I have more sales, but it's not by much. Like it seems like people are buying either the whole thing or they're buying two of them at a time or something like that. So,
cool.
Yeah, it's really been great so far. It's only the second day. I am running it for 7 days, so we'll see. We'll see if I can keep this going. I'm running some BookBub. Well, right now I'm testing BookBub ads. So tricky, and I'm spending money, and because I think you have to get good data, and I'm testing a lot of audiences. But my Facebook ads, which I tested and kind of narrowed down to one audience and one image. Right now, I am only running to that one audience with that one image. I may change that tomorrow, but because I'm spending money on BookBub, I'm trying to watch what I'm spending on Facebook. But that ad is just doing great.
That's good.
Really great. And so, yeah, it all really is just so far working out well. So I'm really happy. Yeah.
Well, the thing with BookBub ads is you have to spend that money on testing.
Yes,
you have to do that, because if you don't do that, then it's kind of like just throwing your money away, because you don't really, I guess you could experiment and find out, but it'd be so much more expensive.
Right. And, one person that I listen to for ads, he's like $5 to test. But David Gaughran says if you've got it, $15 to test, because you want to make sure you get a big. So I'm going with $15 because, again, David Gaughran. But today is bad. I just checked right before we even said anything, and things are looking a little better today than they were yesterday. So that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. And I did the same thing. I did the higher test. I spent more money on the testing when I was trying to figure out, and I think I have a pool of authors now that I could use, but I don't put my books on sale that often.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, I feel like with BookBub ads, you need a deal, you need an offer. So I'm keeping my powder dry. I'll use those later.
Yeah.
Someday.
I know it's hard. I have done really terribly. Like I think I've said, if I want to, I could either spend $100 on BookBub ads, or I could go outside and light it on fire. The same $100. But in the last few months, when I've had a deal, I have actually done really well. I've had some really good audiences, and so, but it's short for me. It's short term. Patricia
McLean. Yeah.
McLean. Sorry, Patricia. She was on and she was talking about how she uses them long term. And I actually saw even a BookBub article about that. Mm-hmm. And I haven't figured that out yet. So,
you'll crack it though. Yeah, you're very good at ads and you're persistent.
Yeah, I am a little persistent. I'm like a dog with a bone. But that's the great thing about indie publishing. There's always something to learn.
There's always something more to learn.
So, yeah.
Well, okay. So before we do the interview, I was going to tell you, do you realize that this is episode 46?
No. Oh my gosh.
So we are up into the 40s. We're almost to episode 50.
Yes.
So I think that's a big milestone.
It is. And what's so cool is that we get stats, and our stats are just amazing, and but neither one of us can believe it. And so thank you guys so much for listening. It's so fun to hear from you and in the Facebook group. And so
this has been the bright spot of 2020 for me.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad we started this year, because it's really helped me to be able to see people and talk. Yeah. So I think probably for episode 50, we should do something where we do like a look back over the episodes we've done and talk about the ones that have been downloaded and kind of what we've learned this year. I think that'd be good.
Absolutely. It will be so fun. So anyway, let's get on with the interview, because Ricardo has a lot of really good stuff to say.
All right. Today we have Ricardo Fayet with us. Hello, Ricardo.
Hi, Ricardo.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Sure. We're so happy you're here. Yeah. So let me read your bio, and then Jamie will lead us off with some questions. Ricardo Fayet is one of the 4 founders of Reedsy, a marketplace connecting authors to the world's top publishing talent, from editors to cover designers, book marketers, author website designers, and literary translators. He's the author of several Reedsy learning courses on book marketing and a regular presenter at several prestigious writers' conferences. He's also currently finishing his very first book on marketing.
Very good. Now tell us when that book may come out.
It should come out in early December.
Awesome.
We don't have the final cover yet, so don't have a release date.
It's on book marketing?
It is on book marketing, yeah. It's a collection of newsletters that I've been sending out over the years, and that I had to completely rewrite and update to fit into an actual book.
That's great. Do
you have a title?
It's a great question. It's in brainstorming phase. I was going to call it Book Marketing 101, and people told me it was boring.
I actually like that.
Keep it simple.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep you updated, and we'll update the link.
Yeah, we will. We'll let people know when it comes out.
Thank you.
So tell us how you got started working with authors.
Well, it was back in, I think, 2014, and a friend of mine had this idea for a marketplace of publishing services, specifically for indie authors, because there was the early days of self-publishing back then, but quite a few authors were doing really well, like the Hugh Howeys, Bella Andres, people like that, the pioneers. And so it was clear to us that self-publishing was really going to grow, and it was clear to us as well that authors were going to need editors, and cover designers, maybe formatters, marketers, etc. So we thought about, creating a marketplace where authors would be able to find all those people in a vetted and verified way. And so I really like this idea. I didn't know much about the publishing industry before then, so I attended London Book Fair. I attended a few conferences like that. I joined the Alliance of Independent Authors. I met Joanna Penn, Mark Dawson, Hugh Howey, Bella Andre. And yeah, they all said it's not that bad an idea, so you can go ahead and make it. So we did, and we created Reedsy, and it's been going well.
That's great. That's great.
So how long did that take you? That sounds like quite a job to create a marketplace and get set up. Did it take a year or longer, or?
Yeah, I mean, we started researching the idea in 2013 even. So it took us a good year and a half of research, also trying to find funds, building the team, adding Matt, our designer, Vincent, our developer, fundraising, and then creating the product. All in all, it took us a couple of years, I think.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that really is.
Well, yeah, we ate a lot of pasta, and we made it work.
Yeah. So is there anything you wish you'd known about working with authors and publishers, looking back?
No, because the fun is in discovering it often, and it's a really amazing industry. I mean, the thing that surprised me the most is how 99%, how nice 99% of the people are in the industry. Whether it's writers, even most agents, most publishers, they have a bad rep, but most people who work within publishers are generally really nice people. So everyone who loves books and who's involved in the industry is generally really, really nice, and we've been lucky in that regard. One thing I wish I'd known maybe is known which conferences are the most useful for us as a business, because I think that was a big turning point for us as well as for Drafted Digital, another our friend company. That's I mean, it didn't take us that long to find Nink and RWA and 20 books, but it did take us a couple of years, and having that right out of that would have been really helpful to meet the right people. I mean, even more than finding clients for Reedsy or driving awareness, they're really good for getting a feel of the industry, getting a feel of like what authors are looking for right now, what they're struggling with, what they're enjoying, and feeling part of an ecosystem as well. Feeling like you're building something for a wide variety of people, and something that they can really use. So it's always gratifying to see the people in person and feel like you're building something concrete, basically, because these days everything's online, and even more now. So it's nice sometimes to see the people face to face.
That's great. That's great. So what do you see authors doing that they do because they think they have to, but aren't producing results?
I'd have to say there are so many things.
We got time.
I've done them all, I'm sure.
I'd say anything that they don't really enjoy doing. Anything that they really don't enjoy, something that makes their skin crawl, but they just do it because they feel they have to. That's, even if it's the best marketing tactic in the world, it's going to be executed wrong because their heart is not in it. More often than not, generally I see it being social media, posting a lot of things on Twitter when you hate Twitter, or like trying to be active on Facebook when you hate Facebook, doing live streams when you really hate being on camera, these kind of things. I think blogs for fiction are a huge time suck, unless, again, you enjoy blogging. There are some great fiction author bloggers out there, but they love blogging. Joanna Penn enjoys blogging, and she does it more for her nonfiction than her fiction. So anything that you don't enjoy doing, and especially if it's related to social media or blogging.
I think that's very true. So as an author, I know I need to be on Facebook. I need to have a presence there, but I don't really enjoy being on there. So do you have any advice for people who feel like that I enjoy Instagram. There's other places that I would rather spend my time, but I feel like I need something on Facebook.
So my opinion on that is that the only reason you really need Facebook is to run ads. So you can create a page on it, put a little bit of content on it, and then just send a lot of ads. And the ads are going to be the content of the page, basically. The interactions that people are going to have with you are through the ads. And then you can have an organic presence on Instagram and put that at the end of your books, rather than say, here's my Facebook page, say, I only run ads on Facebook, so don't follow me on there, follow me on Instagram instead, where I post pictures of, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think, for me, ads and organic are two different things. For ads, if you feel like you have to run ads, then, take the time to have a little bit of a presence on Facebook. But in terms of organic presence, it has to be organic. So it has to come from you, and it has to feel genuine. And if you hate the platform, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know sometimes, especially in romance, I feel like, those people that spin the plates on the sticks. I feel that's how I feel sometimes. Like I got to keep all this plates spinning, and some of the plates I don't care anything about. And so I have really let some things go that other people would say are really beneficial, but they're just not, they are a time suck for me, and they just don't bring me any joy at all. And so I've been a lot happier. Now, could I have sold more books? Maybe, but I don't think I could have sold enough that it would have, moved the needle that much. It's just, they're just more social things or have to things in romance. And I don't think that they're a have to for me. So I totally agree with your answer, and I think you found yourself being a lot more happy and having more time to do the things you really want to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents, because it's hard.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
Do you see any other mistakes that authors make that we love to learn from mistakes and things, that we wish we had known? Do you have anything else that you see that you would say authors maybe mess up frequently?
I see some things. I mean, you've probably heard this 1,000 times, and I almost started off repeating it. But for me, the number one mistake I see is covers or a non-optimized Amazon page. Cover, blurb, and to a certain extent, reviews. We have a marketing section on Reedsy where people can go in and hire book marketers, to run their ads or create a launch plan or, have a consultation. And I'm on there. I moonlight as a marketer to do some more extra work on the weekends and work hand in hand with authors. And most of the requests I get, there's something wrong with the book. So it's often the cover. Sometimes it's a blurb. Sometimes there aren't reviews. And I feel like authors are often trying to jump the gun on, this is a great book I've written, so it has to get in front of people. And it's generally not ready to get in front of people. It's only ready to get in front of people, like push it through ads or, promo sites or newsletter swaps or things like that, when the cover is as good as it can be, the blurb's as good as it can be, with HTML formatting, bolding the first sentence. If it's in a series, the series metadata has to be pristine. It has to be, in 8 to 10 categories. If you can find those, a lot of people don't know that they can, reach out to KDP support and ask for 8 to 10 categories. And if you run a big promo and you get to number 3 in a category, well, you could have been number 3 in 10 categories, and that would have been a lot more exposure. And finally, reviews. That's generally the most difficult thing to get for newer authors, because you don't have your street team yet. You can only rely on friends and family, and God knows that they're not always reliable, especially when it comes to posting reviews. So, but you cannot do anything till the book, has a few reviews, because if you start throwing money at Facebook ads, you're immediately going to go, Facebook ads don't work for my genre. It's not that they don't work for your genre, it's that you're trying to push a book that has no reviews through Facebook ads. You're sending cold traffic to a book page that has no social validation, so people are probably not going to buy the book.
Right. Now, Reedsy has a review service, correct? Yeah.
So tell us about that. I've used it.
Sarah's used it. I knew that Sara had used it. Yeah.
Great. I hope it was a good experience.
It was.
Okay, excellent.
It was, yeah. I made an effort with my historical series to get more professional reviews, because I feel like it was a closer match to traditionally published books. So I went after like Reedsy, Publishers Weekly, everywhere that you could submit it, I did. And I enjoyed I thought the review that I got back from Reedsy was good quality, and then they helped promote it. So I've used it again. So tell us a little bit more about how that works for people who are interested.
Yeah, so it's more, as you said, for professional, like semi-professional editorial reviews. So the way it works is you submit your book. Usually we request that you submit it at least 4 weeks or 5 weeks in advance of the day you plan on launching it on Discovery, on making it visible on Discovery. And we make it available to a pool of reviewers. We have around 1,000 reviewers now. It's mostly people who have blogs on the side. It's not their professional, it's not their day job. I don't think there are that many, reviewers for whom it's their day job. Certainly not 1,000, but it's people who we've vetted and based on the reviews that they wrote before. So they should be able to write good reviews. Or professional looking ones. We make it available to them. It can only be picked up by one reviewer at a time. So it can get only one review maximum. If the reviewer doesn't like the book for any reason, they can put it back in the review pool. It can get picked up by another reviewer. We don't guarantee that the book is going to get picked up by a reviewer. And we especially don't guarantee that the reviewer is going to leave a good review. So that's why I asked you about your experience, because we do get some authors who are not happy because they don't get a review or they get a negative one. But we want to create an environment. Ultimately, this is going to be a site for readers, and there are already like over 100,000 readers on Discovery. And we want to create an environment where reviews mean something. Nowadays, all the reviews you're going to see are 4 to 5 stars and positive, because authors, they pay to get a good review. And we've tried to make it clear since the beginning that on Reedsy, you pay for exposure to reviewers and then to readers. But then it's up to them. If the reviewer picks up the book and says, this really wasn't good, there are a lot of problems, you need an editor or something like that, 2 stars, that review is going to stay there. And you pay $50 to submit. So you will have paid $50 for that 2-star review. It can happen. There's an element of risk with Discovery that I think authors need to understand. But I'll say that after 2 months, around 70% of books receive a review. And I mean, you can imagine the covers and the blurbs of the 30% that do not get picked by reviewers. And I'm not going to say that most reviews are positive, but if the book's good, then you're most likely to get a 3 to 5 star review. And when the book launches on Discovery, so you set the date of the launch, and what that means basically is it goes live on our site. Readers can upvote it. There's a feed of like new books launching that week, and the most upvoted books get to the top. So it's a little bit of a popularity contest. And every week we include the books that have been upvoted the most and gotten the best reviews, and a little bit of an editorial pick in a newsletter that gets sent to, as I said, over 100,000 readers at this point. So it's a mix of a review site and a promo site for new releases, basically.
Yeah. There's not a lot of places you can promote new releases. So if you do get a good review, that's a good way to get in front of people. And I think the way you said it was you're paying for the opportunity for reviewers to see your book. So it's not like you're buying a review. You're just saying, here's my book. And maybe people who wouldn't have seen it will read it. Those reviewers will pick it up because they might not have seen it any other way. So I think it's a cool system. It's very different from what most indie authors think of as reviews, as getting reviews. So it's a totally different mindset.
Yeah,
that's why it's hard to explain. It takes a bit of a long time, but hopefully we'll come up with an elevator pitch at some point for that.
So do you see any commonalities in writers who've been successful over the long haul?
I see quite a bit of commonalities. I think nowadays, like a big thing in recent years was like sticking to your lane. So, if you start writing in a genre, really, at least they'll release 2, 3, 4, 5 books in that genre. Keep going, basically. If you find something that works with you, don't let the little genies of creativity distract you and think, ooh, brand new series over here, and drop like that amazing series with 3 books and 80% read through, and instead of writing book 4, start on something completely different. So that's the commonly, I think, main common thing I see among successful authors is they stick to longer series. They write for their readers, and they have a lot of discipline. They try to write every day, and even if they don't really want to write that book 12 in a series, if they promise it to their readers, they're going to write it. They don't take cues from George R.R. Martin, basically.
He's in a different category than most of us.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly.
So we probably shouldn't follow him. Yeah. Well, so you work with a wide range of authors and genres. Do you see any trends, like what's popular and hot right now?
I think any commercial fiction. I mean, trends come and go. We've seen a huge boost around cozy mysteries. I feel like every time there's a new K-Lytics report on a new undiscovered genre, then there's a huge boost in the genre because a lot of people jump in on that opportunity and readers follow. I think any commercial fiction genre where you can, have a series with really strong characters that the readers are going to stick to, and that doesn't blend genres too much, where you can really make it clear to readers what the book is about, that can be successful.
Right.
And that doesn't break genre rules as well. For example, I got a few authors recently, and they were writing game lit, and now the whole game lit genre has been invaded by lit RPG. So now if you're trying to sell anything other than lit RPG to game lit fans, it's almost never going to work. And they'd written books that didn't have stats and class levels and all the things that are required in lit RPG. A little bit like the happy ending in romance. Research the genre a little bit. If there are some really, really strong tropes that you just cannot break, then don't break them.
Good advice.
You see, yeah, really good advice. This is one of my big ones. I really kind of harp on this, like, know your genre expectations.
Yeah.
And if you break them, that's fine. Just know that you might do better if you don't break them. So exactly. So how has indie publishing changed over the last, since you started, I guess in 2013?
I think it's become more professional, more mature and more professional. In the beginning, I remember the early talks by Bella Andre, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, but it's easy. You self-published back in 2010. There was no competition. You put the book free for a week, and it had 100,000 downloads. It was easy back then, and I don't think that's right. As she said, back then they were making fire with sticks. And now you've got all these kinds of different ways to make fire, but at the same time, you've got millions of other fires around you. So it's harder to attract the attention of readers. So I think it's more professional, and there are a lot more tools at your disposal. There are companies that have created just to serve very specific niche purposes, like BookFunnel. It's an amazing company that didn't exist, back in 2010, and that serves a really strong purpose. Mm-hmm. Same goes for, newsletters, swap sites, plotting sites. There are more and more resources in the industry. So it's more competitive, and you have more tools at your disposal. So it takes a lot more work. Once you've got your system figured out and the tools that you use and all that, it can be relatively easy. You can enter into a system. But until you get there, it takes a big learning curve because, it's harder, and there are a lot more things out there which can make it hard to navigate the waters.
Right. Yeah. It was almost like in the beginning, it was hard to just find the information on how to do certain things like format a book. And now there's so much information.
Info overload. Yeah.
So many options to choose from. Yeah. Each is its own problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm using Reedsy for a German translation, and I'm curious if you're seeing more authors doing translations. Is that kind of an up and coming thing? I hear more authors talking about it, but are they actually doing it, besides just talking about it? And do you have any recommendations for authors who want to do translations?
I'm seeing more authors doing it just because we released the service on Reedsy, and we got, a few requests, including yours. I'm not seeing as many doing it as I thought as I thought they would probably. I didn't see quite the appeal that I was expecting. I think that right now, one of the effects of lockdown, coronavirus and lockdown in Europe especially, is that digital sales have grown massively in all the countries. We're talking triple-digit growth in just 1 month, April, May, in France, Italy, Spain, countries that were very, very traditional in their reading habits, buying books, physical books in bookstores, reading print because of the smell and the texture of the book and all that. I mean, I have the discussion with my Spanish and French friends all the time, and trying to tell them how great it is to just, read on your phone, but they don't get it.
Until lately,
exactly. Until lately, now they're like, look, I can get all these books now while staying in my house. So there's been a huge growth. I think the German market was already ready, so you're definitely right to start with German, and the other markets are probably going to be ready for certain genres soon. Italy was already doing okay for romance in certain cases. I've heard mixed opinions about that, but I definitely know some authors have done well there. And I know some French indie authors who write in French and who are making a lot of money every year self-publishing, which means that the market is ready for indie books in French, so for translations as well. And that's another point. There are more local indie authors who also speak in English, because if they learned all the things that they needed to learn in order to self-publish successfully, they had to speak English, because all the resources are in English. So you can rely on those. You can find them, on Facebook groups, writing communities, ask your writer friends, and you can rely on them. If you've got your French translation coming up, you can let them know. Hey, you can ask them, hey, what are the hot categories? What do you think would be good keywords? Do you know any other authors I could cross promote with? So there's a more international community, both of readers and of authors, that makes translation a really exciting thing right now, at least for me.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it'll go.
How many languages do you guys offer, Ricardo?
We do French, Italian, Spanish, German, and English to and from many of those languages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The main European ones.
Yeah. And what's the process like? Do you, Sara, we've talked about this, but I don't remember what you said. Like, do you interview someone, or do you submit to Reedsy and you guys handle all of that?
I'll let you answer it, Ricardo. You're the expert.
All right. So you select a few people you want to reach out to. It can be, anywhere from 1 to 5 translators,
right,
based on their profiles, the previous books they've translated, their work experience, all that. And they get back to you with messages or directly quotes. What the kind of translators we've selected, we've had chats with all of them, and we've explained that we're looking for translators who are going to work on a fee basis, so no royalties, no royalty share. And translators who are able to deliver a final product. So they make that clear, but you're not hiring just a translator. You're generally hiring a team, and they're going to have someone edit their translation afterwards.
Right.
And prove the translation as well. And also translators who can help a little bit with the marketing, translate the blurb, translate some headlines or copy for the ads.
Help. Yeah.
Exactly. So we've tried to basically handpick translators who are not only very, very experienced and have worked on great books in the past, but who also are a little bit more indie, and that they're not just looking to deliver an unedited translation and wash their hands off of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you have to, I didn't understand this when I first got on the site, but I did a search, I found some translators that I was interested in. I reached out to them, and you also have, you can request a quote for a translation, but then you also have, I forgot what it's called, an assessment, where you can, if you get a sample, you can have other people check it for you. Because that's part of the problem is, I know one other author who actually speaks German. So I had her look at my translations. But if you don't know anybody, that's where you would use the assessment. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, we added translation assessment as well as the service that you can, request from translators on Reedsy. Because as you said, a lot of authors, they get a translation maybe from a friend or from someone they don't know and they're not sure. And they publish it and they start getting bad reviews and like, is it a problem with the translation? So that's why we added the assessment one. It was a big one. I think it was probably Bella Andre and her translator who gave us the idea back in the days, because her first translations into Italian were terrible. They were amateurish, and she started getting very bad reviews, and the books didn't sell. And so she had to redo the translations completely, pay a lot more money than she initially paid for the translation to get it professionally done, and then the books did well. So yeah, assessments are a good way to see, if the translation's at fault.
So would you do that for just a sample, or would you do it for the whole translation when it's complete? Or does it matter?
You probably want to start with a sample, unless you're hiring someone you're 100% sure of. Right. You can have it done, double checked on a sample.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've only got one translation. It's in Portuguese in Brazil, and it's through the publisher. But I've always wondered if my romantic comedies would translate well. Like in Portuguese, one of the reviews, because she loses her granny panties in the book, they translated it "panties of the grandma," and I thought that was hilarious. But I'm not sure it translates really well. So we'll see. It just came out about a month ago. But yeah, "panties of the grandma." I love that. So, what do you see coming, Ricardo?
Sorry?
What do you see coming in the future with indie publishing?
More translation, as we mentioned. More audio as well. Since the Kobo, Google Play, Apple, they're all pushing for audio. So I think audio is gonna keep growing. And I'm not sure. I've never been really that big of a visionary when it comes to new things in publishing, and I don't think there have been any major new things.
Right.
But probably small incremental improvements, especially probably to the Amazon advertising platform. They've been making a lot of changes recently. We've also seen series pages added officially to KDP. So yeah, basically I've seen a lot of small changes like that by KDP and Amazon advertising for KDP in the past few months that lead me to think that they've placed an emphasis on it again, and we might see more new features coming from Amazon that are actually features that authors were expecting for change. So maybe, hopefully, crossing fingers, they're starting to listen to indie authors more.
Right. Right.
It would be awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So since you're international, I was thinking I know the ebook market is very centric to the US. So do you have any tips for appealing to readers in other countries, being based in a certain country and appealing to the world? I mean, I know using geo-targeted links is good, and maybe thinking about your marketing copy and stuff that it's not focused on the US. So do you have any ideas or suggestions for that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd say make sure it's basic, but make sure you've got the book available everywhere. A lot of times you can forget to tick some countries, and make sure you've got an attractive pricing everywhere. Go through the extra trouble of, putting £1.99, €1.99, so that you don't end up with €2.12 or something that looks a bit weird. So using territorial pricing, all the distributors have that option right now. So it's relatively easy. And then relying on promotion sites, because running ads or trying promos that are specifically directed at non-US and non-UK countries is generally really tough. It's going to be hard to be profitable there. But promo sites, they spend ads, like promo sites, I mean BookBub, written word media, places like that. They spend a lot of money on ads, on Facebook ads, to attract readers to their mailing list, and they don't spend that money only in the US, so they have more of a global audience. And BookBub is a great example. They've got readers all over the world, and you can actually, target by country. I think for BookBub ads, So it shows that they have a big global country. So rely on those promo sites to gain a little bit of a footprint and hope for word of mouth in those countries. But other than that, other than ensuring the availability, the attractivity of the price, it's hard to focus, on these other countries. I think it's going to happen naturally as you promote your book for the US, basically.
Right. And something, I was just listening to David Gaughran's BookBub thing, because I've got a promo running this week, and so I'm running BookBub ads. But he made the point that, countries like UK, well, Canada and Australia in particular, but UK, the books there are priced higher. So a 99-cent deal in those countries is super appealing. And so you want to learn how to run those ads where you can specifically target those countries. And so that's just something really interesting and something that I think a lot of authors don't really think about, because the US does have the largest market. It's just, but thinking outside of that is a good idea. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. BookBub ads are great for granular targeting. You can, you can target only audiobook listeners. You can target only specific countries, followers of very specific authors. So it's where you have the most room to really laser target people.
Right.
Yeah. Right. All great tips. And a lot of them are like you were saying with optimizing your Amazon page, bold the headline and check your pricing. And it's not like rocket science, but it's easy to overlook the simple things, and they can make a big difference. So it's very true.
Yeah, especially when you've got long series. It can get very daunting to go back and do an audit of the whole series. Make sure that all the books are in enough categories, the headlines and all.
Yeah,
I get it. It's tough.
Yeah, I went back last year and redid all my keywords and descriptions for one of my older series, and the keywords were terrible. They were like travel mystery, and like travel is in the title, it was like things like that I was like, oh, this is so bad. So it does make a difference. And I have more sympathy now to traditional publishers who have like thousands of books. Right. I understand now why they don't update categories and they don't change descriptions, because it's
a lot of work.
It's a huge, huge mess sometimes. So, well, thank you for being here and sharing with us about Reedsy. And so can you tell people where they can find out more about you and Reedsy?
Yeah, for sure. So Reedsy is on our website, so reedsy.com, reedsy.com. If you use the top menu, you'll see all the different stuff that we have, our free formatting tool, our free courses, our blog, Reedsy Discovery, the site for reviews, the marketplace. So have a play around there. And if you want to reach out to me personally with any question, I have a very easy email address, ricardo@reedsy.com. So yeah, always happy to hear from other authors.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Sure. So we'll have all the links and everything at wishidknownforwriters.com, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. We hope this episode inspired you, empowered you, and made you laugh a little bit too. If you loved it, tell your friends about it. And if you feel so inclined, leave us a review. We look forward to being with you again next week.